Hello, everybody. This is Sinema77, horror and cult film lover, and tonight we're going to talk about a definitely intriguing kind of movie. It is a comedy, came out in 1981, and I'm going to be honest with you, it's there is no way at all this movie could ever be made today. This movie, I don't know. I think if you tried to make this movie today and it came out in theaters, there would be so much controversy surrounding it. It would probably be banned. Um, there would be, as oversensitive as a lot of people are these days. I don't know. I mean, maybe it's possible. I just do not think that a movie like this could ever be made nowadays. Now, I have this movie on DVD and I don't have the case because I have, you're going to see some of these movies I have on DVD. They don't have their cases with the artwork and stuff because of different reasons. One of the main reasons being that at one point in time, I lived in a very small, confined space and I didn't have a lot of room. And so I had to take my DVDs out of the cases and put them into CD wallets and stuff for storage. And, it was just, the only way I could do it at the time. Unfortunately, I don't have the artwork now, which is one of the reasons too why I want to upgrade a lot of these to Blu-ray. And this movie is on Blu-ray, and I do want to upgrade it as soon as I can, and I plan to here pretty soon. But anyway, the movie we're going to talk about is called Private Lessons. Now, this movie came out in 1981. Um, Funny enough, now this movie it is a sex comedy. It's kind of a romantic sex comedy. Kind of has like some stuff going on, and funny enough though, the movie is based on a book called Philly. Now, the book Philly was actually a horror novel, and they explain on the commentary. The movie stars Sylvia Kristel, who, for those who are not in the know, back in the 70s and into the 80s, Sylvia Kristel, she was a model. She was a movie star. She did a lot of softcore. She was known for a lot of nude modeling. She was very beautiful, very sexy, statuesque, you know, dark curly hair. And she had been in a lot of movies. She had been in like some of the Emmanuel movies and stuff. And I believe it was a young Lady Chatterley Lover or Lady Chatterley's Lover. She was in one of the Lady Chatterley movies and stuff. And she's, like I said, she's done a lot of softcore and stuff like that. And she plays the lead female character in here, Miss Mallow. And the movie also stars Howard Hesseman, who, old, well, I don't want to say old, but, people from back in the day will definitely remember him from, the TV show WKRP in Cincinnati. And he's been in bunches of movies and TV shows, throughout the decades and stuff. He's a very well known character actor, does a lot of comedy and stuff. Um, but like I said before, this movie, this is one of the ones. Like I used to have the artwork for this, and when I was living in a small space where I just didn't have room for all the boxes and the cases and stuff like that, I took them out and I put them into, the CD wallets. And unfortunately, the artwork would get damaged or ruined or something, or something else would happen, and then I would just wouldn't have it anymore. But like I said, now that this is on Blu-ray, I'd like to upgrade this one to Blu-ray here soon. But anyway, though, going back to what I was saying, the book is called Philly by Dan Greenberg, and it was written as a horror novel, and it was almost kind of like a diabolique type inspired horror thriller and stuff. But through some turn of events, when they made this into a movie, they decided that it was not going to be. They went away from the horror thriller element over to a comedy element, and they turned this basically into kind of a romantic, kind of raunchy, coming of age sex comedy. But going back to what I said at the beginning of the video when I said like this would be so offensive nowadays, and this movie would be banned. There would be so much controversy surrounding it and stuff like that. The reason why I say that is because in this movie, basically the story is about a grown woman. I mean, we're talking a grown adult woman past the age of legal age. You know, she's over 21 and she gets into a sexual relationship with a 12-year-old boy. So that's why I say like this movie can never be made in this day and age. And if it was made, it would be basically be ran out of town on a rail, tarred and feathered. There's no way, especially in this climate nowadays. The concern about. I mean, back then, I think when this movie came out, it could have been more controversial. But I think that there wasn't as much of a. I said I think. Okay, don't take my word for word on this, but I think part of it had to do with just that you didn't really have young boys screaming sexual harassment on grown women, not the way that you have young girls who always you know talk about pedophilia and abuse by grown men. So you don't have that there, and so, but also too, this was kind of back in the day, that used to be like a lot of teenage boys, underage boys and stuff, like 12 or whatever, hitting into puberty, and you're discovering your body and you're starting to get hormones and you discover girls and stuff like that. Yeah, you just like one of the biggest fantasies a teenage boy would have would be to have a mature woman who is going to bring you into manhood. And that's basically that's what this movie is. This whole thing is that dream coming true for this one young boy named Philly. And this Philly, he's a young boy. He comes from a family of means. He doesn't have a mother. He has a father. The father is going away on business a lot and everything else. And but the father, he's very wealthy. He has a lot of money. He buys his son a lot of expensive gifts, and they live in a big house. They live in this big mansion and stuff like that. And he decides he's going to hire a woman as basically kind of like a housekeeper slash caretaker. And you know, the woman is Miss Mallow, who's played by Sylvia Kristel. That's her character. And she comes in, and little bit by little bit, she knows that he's a young boy and that he's curious about her. He wants to see what she looks like naked and stuff like that. And you have Howard Hesseman's character. He's the chauffeur, and he's kind of like, him and the boy don't exactly, him and Philly, they don't exactly get along too well and stuff like that. And then, at one point, he gets caught sitting outside watching, Sylvia Kristel's character undress and stuff like that. And she even invites him into the room, and hey, if you want to watch me undress, come in here and watch me. Don't sit out there. Come in here where it's nice and comfortable, and you can watch me undress in here. And so, he does. And then little bit by little bit, she's, kind of, getting him to be more comfortable with her and stuff like that. And at one point, she's in the bathtub and she's taking a bubble bath, and he gets in the bath with her. And, they start kissing and all this other kind of stuff. And then little bit by little bit, they ultimately, they end up having sex. And at the point when they're having sex, you can see where this could kind of go into the horror movie or the horror story element to it is when they're having sex. Apparently, she has a heart attack and she dies. And the Howard Hessman, his character, his name's Lester. He tells Philly that we need to hide the body and all this other kind of stuff. And then so they hide the body, and he starts seeing her, and like weird things are happening and all this other kind of stuff. And he thinks either he's losing his mind or something's going on or whatever else. But then it's revealed basically that her character, Miss Mallow, her character, and Lester, the chauffeur, basically they're playing this kid, and they're taking him for a ride because the idea is they're going to try to scam his dad out of all his money and stuff like that. And then Ed Begley Jr. is in this movie too, and he plays a character who gets kind of drawn in. At first, he's just Philly's tennis instructor, but he gets kind of wheeled into this too, and he gets a little bit of a bigger part. And then kind of like Sylvia Kristel, she reveals herself to him and that she's not really dead and that she actually cares about him because how sweet he is to her, how nice he treated her, and she had never had anybody treat her good before in her life and everything else. And so they decide they want to take Lester down before he can steal the dad's money and all this other kind of stuff. So anyway, so yeah, I mean, it does. You could see where this could have been a horror story, and but they did switch it over, and it went from being a horror film to a comedy, and there is some pretty risque stuff in here. I'm not gonna lie. Like I said, this is one of those kind of movies. It's like um, I honest to God, I mean, this came out in 1981. I don't even know, honest to God, I don't know if you can make a movie like this today. I mean, especially like here in the last few months when we had the whole thing of that 17-year-old boy saying that Ozzy Argento, the writer, director, Italian star, and everything, that she, sexually abused him and all this other kind of stuff. It's like, so I don't know. I think if you tried to make a movie, I mean, back then the attitude was a lot more lenient towards that kind of thing. I mean, like I said, just it was kind of back in the 80s and in earlier on. I'm sure earlier on than that. Hell, could have been back towards the beginning of time for all I know. But yeah, that they were. It was a little bit easier for. I mean, for a lot of teenage boys, that was one of your fantasies was to have this beautiful, grown woman who took an interest in you and looked at you as an adult and looked at you as, didn't look at you as a kid, looked at you, in terms of being a man and mature and capable and virile and all this other kind of stuff. So that used to be a huge fantasy for teenage boys was to have a mature woman bring him into manhood. But like I said, nowadays the climate has changed, times have changed. I don't know if you could. I'm not even sure if you ever could make a movie like this nowadays. I just don't know if it'd even be possible. But so anyway, so yeah, that's pretty much my review for Private Lessons. It's a good movie, but like I said, if you're easily offended by that kind of thing, and I told you what the storyline is, it is the story of a grown woman developing. Now, I mean, granted, there is a plot to this involving trying to, a caper, trying to take money and all this other kind of stuff. But a good portion of this movie is dedicated to this grown woman building a romantic sexual relationship with an underage boy. So, if you really are appalled by that kind of thing, then yeah, you probably would not want to watch this movie. So you would probably steer clear away from this. So because a good portion of the movie is devoted to it. It's devoted to showing this relationship between this grown woman and this young boy and how it develops and how it progresses and everything else. So like I said, yeah, if that's not your cup of tea, yeah, you'd really want to stay away from this movie. But curiosity factor, or if you were one of those kind of boys who grew up and that was your fantasy, then I imagine this movie would be kind of a fun treat for you to watch and everything else. So anyway, so that's it. That's Private Lessons, So anyway, that's going to pretty much wrap it up for this. This is Sinema77, horror and cult film lover, and if you did take the time to watch this video, thank you. I mean it. Thank you for doing so, and I hope you liked it. And if you did like it, please like and subscribe. I hope you like naughty movies you really should not be watching as much as I do. But thank you, and I'll see you later. Bye bye.